Hello, are you out there? I'm Mark with Homebrew Fever Dreams, and we've got Mantle of Power, sorcerous origin subclass here on the r/homebrew fever dreams. This is submitted to us by Outrageous Maximum. Welcome, Outrageous. Thank you for submitting. I appreciate it. I like to think about homebrew more than I actually get to play D&D, so bear with me if I under/overpower some abilities. I don't have a ton of experience to back me up. It's no problem. I've never played a sorcerer, so oftentimes when I'm reading these, I have to go into the book and be like, all right, how does this mechanic work? So, some people have favorites for classes. I've maybe played half the classes in the book, just myself, so I get it. I came up with this origin because I think that the sorceress origins are somewhat lacking, and I think the idea is a fundamental concept for what a sorcerer can be that isn't represented by the other origins. Mantle of Power. Some sorcerers have inherited their power through gifts of succession where the great magic of one being is transferred into them, but unlike a warlock, the power is within them rather than lent, and is typically difficult to revoke. These sorcerers can often come to a task or life mission inherited from their progenitor. Their progenitor can be a great magical being such as devils, archfey, or deities, and there can be rules and restrictions imposed by these beings to take away the sorcerer's powers. Again, what sets these individuals apart from clerics, warlocks, etc. is that the power the sorcerer draws upon is within them. You can come up with many backstory rulings, like maybe your sorcerer has to occasionally return to their magic source to recharge, or that such a being can hunt them down and take the power back. Note to self. Watch out for the guy that wants all my energy back. Jeez. Or even that their powers can be taken at any time on the source's whim. Wow. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. Their progenitor can also be a lesser magical being, such as an experienced adventurer who gave their power to an apprentice before or after passing away. The source can be many things, alive or dead, involved or absent, good or evil. But one thing that their progenitor should have are characteristics and affinities. This sorcerer's spells, metamagics, and subclass features options should reflect the characteristics of their progenitor. Interesting, very interesting. So there's a very wide range of sources that this sorcerer subclass can draw from. Their progenitor is not necessarily a sorcerer. That's the important idea. It's just kind of is it the font of ability, of power? But it does reside within them. So I wonder, though, for theme, that can their power source be taken back at any time by the sorcerer's whim? I like the idea that the source can come hunt them down and withdraw the magic that they had once imparted, or maybe it was stolen from them. But I don't necessarily agree that it should be on the source's whim just for the theme of it, especially if the power source does reside within the character, right? It's not like as you're saying with a cleric, a deity can't just revoke, no magic spells for you. You're cut off for the day. You pissed me off. I don't think that's how this is working. It is now innately residing within the character. Yeah. So, on that, I love the idea that returning to the magic source to recharge. Yes. I like the idea that the original being can hunt them down and take the power back. Yes. But I feel it's a slight contradiction if the power source can revoke it at a whim. Just my opinion. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then ultimately, their progenitor can also be a lesser magical being, experienced adventure, alive or dead. Yeah. Just saying that it's not necessarily a sorcerer imparting on a sorcerer. Okay, let's continue. Echoes of Familiarity. Your progenitor's reflex and intuition are intertwined with your magic, and you can call upon them. Choose 3 skills, tools, and or weapons when you take this origin. Languages? Maybe? Is what, I'm just trying to think if there's a reason you wouldn't include languages. Maybe. I mean, if tools are on there, I think languages could be. So I don't think that's really that big of a deal either way. But you can spend 1 sorcery point to become proficient with one of these skills for 2 hours or 5 rounds if it's a weapon. I think those numbers are odd, only relative to what else we would see in the book. I would say 1 hour for simplicity's sake. And I would say a full minute instead of 5 rounds. I don't know if you know, but mechanically, I believe each round is considered 6 seconds. 6 seconds. So by saying a minute, it would be 10 full rounds. And this also matters a little bit more in the sense of the weapon. If you're going to burn an entire sorcery point to get proficiency with the sword to go hacking, even though you're a sorcerer and fighting with the sword isn't necessarily your jam, I would do the full minute, because 10 rounds of combat is going to take care of pretty much the whole combat. And what if the sorcerer wants to be able to use this magical weapon for this fight that they normally wouldn't rely on, but it's like, well, I have it now. But they also might want to do some other sorcerous things. So if they're going to like cast a spell, use an ability, attack with the sword, but they've only got 5 rounds to do it, I think if you just make it 1 hour, 1 minute, it's easy. It clicks a little bit better. And that 10 rounds of combat will make sure that they can get several good attacks in with this weapon they're proficient in, as well as when they need to, they can feel relaxed to use their other abilities. So I think it opens up how the player would feel confidence in burning that sorcery point to get this ability. Yeah. Just my opinion. You do not use your proficiency bonus. Instead, use the proficiency bonus of +6. That's nice. That's pretty good, especially at the lower levels. I was going to say enterprise. Expertise does not apply when using this effect. Good to note. You can also use this effect when casting a spell for 2 sorcery points, in which case your spell, save, DC, and spell attack modifier replace your proficiency bonus with +6, and anything that refers to your proficiency bonus for that spell uses +6. Okay. Again, though, that's probably going to matter more at lower levels. These effects only apply to the spell you cast this effect with. Okay. I'm rereading here. Bear with me. Just anyone who's watching, a lot of times these reviews are less entertaining, where I'm just like driving through trying to banter, and we're trying to parse it out. I do pre-read these, though, so I know what I'm talking about. But stick with me here. We try and grade on, I think Crunkers was the one that helped me. I always acknowledge Crunkers, because we were talking about this when it said, hey, theme, fun, ease of use, balance. The order doesn't matter, but these are the things we evaluate when we're talking about homebrew. In general, this paragraph here is coming at quite a few things. We're talking about a list of skills. We're talking about different time frames for the skills, meaning 2 hours, 5 rounds for different types. Then we're getting into spells as well with their own separate rules. It is a dense paragraph with a lot to it. So I would say that as far as clarity or ease of understanding, it's moderate. Okay. Ultimately, though, at level 1, since you don't have any sorcery points, you can do this once per long rest, but not on your spells. So on your first level, you may use these 3 skills that you have proficiency in, or this +6 bonus. You choose an additional skill, tool, weapon, or language at 5th, 9th, 13th, and 7th. So you're going to get a total of 7 skills, tools, or weapons that your progenitor was essentially proficient in. I don't want to say they were an expert in, but yeah, they had a +6 in, and you're kind of borrowing their knowledge base. So I think that's really cool. I think it gives a lot of flexibility, especially because it does only cost 1 sorcery point. Especially as you get up to the mid levels, you'll be able to burn a sorcery point to gain the needed thing in the moment. So yeah, I think it's cool. It lends itself to role play. I think this would be a role player subclass based off what I'm seeing here. A lot of versatility in this. Inherited resistance. resilience. Resilience, yes. Okay. You use a lot of beefy words, my friend. Oh, wait. One more thing. Hold on. Your Echoes of Familiarity, this should be at first level. Choose your progenitor's reflex and intuition. You have at first level here, but usually just to keep it sort of obvious as to what's going on, I would mention at first level up here at the beginning of this paragraph block for Echoes of Familiarity. Just editing note, I would say. Inherited resilience. The might of your progenitor is imbued onto you and protects you in some way. At 6th level, choose one of the following effects that permanently applies to you. So we've got a list here. We've got about 6 things. First option, your hit point max increases by 6, and you gain an additional 1 hit point for every level. So it's kind of like the Dwarven Toughness, right? So I like it. It retroactively gives you the +6 that you've missed up to 6th level, and now going forward, you get 1 point at each level. You might want to say, and you gain an additional hit point at every level hereafter. So they're not confused about the +6, and then at 7th level to get the +1 going on. So it does match up with toughness under a different name. Second option, you have advantage on one type of saving throw. Interesting. I like this because you could choose a saving throw that you're not proficient in to gain advantage, or you could choose one that you already have proficiency in and take advantage on that, meaning like you will rarely fail. Like you'll be really good at that save. So it almost is like you have the ability to go from 2 proficient to 2 good saving throws to 3, or you could take one of the 2 you're good at and make it really good. So I don't want to say that's powerful, but it could be really useful in like a clutch thing, or if you know your campaign setting might have a lot of charm effect or constitution set, whatever. You can pick and choose properly. Don't pick poorly though, because then you'll never use it. Okay, third option: your AC increases by 2 when you're wearing light or no armor. Okay. I'm confused, I guess, because I don't know Sorcerer that well. Is there ever a benefit for a Sorcerer to wear no armor? Certainly if you're wearing light armor, you've got some nice robes or +1 robes or something, and then you get a +2 AC on top of it. That's really good. It allows you to like go into the clutch a little more on some melee, but I'm not sure about the no armor part. I guess I just don't know, so sure. Okay. Questionable there on how useful, but you got a lot of options. So let's keep going. You gain resistance to one type of physical, so slashing, piercing, crushing, bludgeoning. Sorry, I have so many roleplay systems in my head. I just like crushing, bludgeoning. I understand what you say though. There's the 3 physical or 2 types of elemental. And I think with the elemental, there's 10 total types of elemental damage. I'm not going to rattle them all off, I think. Yeah. Because I think you'd put, like, mental, right? Like, psychic would fit within the elemental damage, I think. So, I like that. Obviously, the physical damage types are much more common. And the elemental, there's many more that you could be. So I think that's well balanced, well done, and I think it would be useful. Yeah, certainly. Fifth option, when you take damage, you can use a reaction to reduce that damage by 1d12 for 1 sorcery point. Ooh, that's good. But I like that you have capped it. You're controlling the use of it with sorcery points. I mean, you can do it a lot, especially as you get into the mid-levels and you've got plenty of sorcery points. You can mitigate a lot of damage to yourself, but not infinitely. It is tied to sorcery points. So I think that's a great option. I could see a lot of people choosing that one. And then you're finally here, once per long rest, the first time you would roll a death save throw, you can choose not to. Neither failing nor succeeding a death save. Interesting. I like the wording. It's very unique to me. I don't think there's a lot of other effects in the game like that. It wouldn't come up very often. I mean, when it did, it would matter. It would be really useful because your character's, potentially going to die. So I think of those 6, I don't know that they're all on a power parity with each other. I think that as you look at it, it's kind of like, it's an up and down on the different powers. I would say, realistically, I'm not going to say which one's overpowered, underpowered. I think they're all in the realm. I would show this list to a few friends. I would choose one of the 6 that they think is the weakest or would be chosen the least, and I'd take it off of that list. It's always that thing with creators where you're trying to give a lot to your players, but I guarantee you there's at least one item on here that 19 out of 20 people will not take. And that one should be just to clear up, make it less confusing, make the remaining ones seem more in balance with each other. Yeah, just a little edit thing. I've read your whole subclass, and there's a lot to it, and it kind of is very buckshot, which is cool. You're essentially saying, hey, here's a subclass where you really get to define your own character very much so. I think that's cool. I think some people definitely want that, and you're giving it to them. So in that sense, I don't think it's an issue at all, but it might be a little too scattershot, in my opinion. So yeah, I would find the weakest one of those, clearly so, by taking a little poll and get rid of it. If I had to look at it, from my opinion to you, the hit points, useful. I'm going to say the 2 that I am in question of are the advantage on 1 saving ability. I don't think it's as obvious. And I would say the death saving throw one is just so rare. I think those are the 2 people would tend to skip at most. I'm confused about the AC one just because I don't understand the no armor thing. But ultimately, a +2 AC with light armor is really freaking good. So yeah. So yeah, there you go. Let's keep going. This is a long one. These are all long. I hope anyone who's watching with me isn't trying to rush. I moved these off of the main channel, back a month ago because a lot of people don't sit through them. So that's why they're residing here now on the HFD reviews, because this is just for the crunchy people who want to get into it with me. And I feel like part of the fun of this is just taking the time to just have like a little conversation, just thinking about it, not rushing, not that it's just moving, plowing through. Are you being entertained at every moment? I mean, I try and be entertaining, but I think it's just fun for us to all have time to just think about. It's like, what is that really, And it's easy. You can just pause the video because I'm not going to rush ahead. And you can just read out for yourself the text, think about what they're saying, how it would work, how you would use it. Yeah. Anyway, I like doing them. So here we go. We're getting into some of the beefy stuff. Full potential. This is the 14th level. All right. You've become powerful enough to begin using your progenitor's most powerful techniques. At 14th level, when you cast a spell that is 6th level or higher, not a lower level spell cast at a higher level, you regain 1 sorcery point. That is nice. I think I looked at the chart. I think that's going to get you up to a potential 6 additional sorcery points if you're burning through your high level slots at the higher levels out of your 20. So it pushes you from a max of 20 for your rest schedule to a 26. That's a pretty nice little incline there, pushing beyond 25% increase in sorcery points. So very cool, and it really extols your player to have that character burning through those higher level slots to get that little benefit of those sorcery points. My throat, my voice, what the heck? Okay. My family, honestly, has been a little bit, the wife and kids have been a little coffee and sick the last couple of days, so I think it may be becoming my turn. We'll see. If I don't put out a video for a week, then you guys will know why. So here we are. Here's our capstone. Mastery from within. At 18th level, you have practiced your progenitor's techniques long enough that you no longer rely on the power within you to use them. But it remains a tool you can use. All of your chosen proficiencies from the Echoes of Familiarity feature above become permanent proficiencies, and you can use 3 sorcery points to double your proficiency bonus for any one of them for 2 hours or 5 rounds if it's a weapon. Again, as I said earlier, I may change those numbers just to things that are a little easier to remember. I'd go 1 hour, 1 minute, personally. Okay. This effect cannot be applied to spells. This effect is separate from expertise, but does not stack with it. Noted. And then here we are, a little bonus, which I actually really like. Optional subclass feature with great power. When you take the Sorcerer's Origin at level 1, you choose an oath based on where your power came from. You gain 1 extra feat, but your class features can be revoked if you fail to live by your oath. You can regain your class features at the DM's discretion. Typically, you can regain them after a day of acting in line with your oath again. So listen, at level 1, if your DM's okay with this option, you could gain a feat. This is big time. Big time, big time. However, it is offset by the fact that if you live against your oath, it revokes your powers. Your subclass powers. So, but that's a lot of what you have. I mean, yes, you'd still be a sorcerer able to tap into some spells. So it's not like you just become a peasant in robes. Nice robes. Go farm, peasant. So you'd still have some ability, some survivability, but it would be a hit. You'd be losing a lot of what your class is if you lose the subclass abilities. I like that it is at the DM's discretion. I would not set up. I see you setting up for your player and your DM to butt heads by mentioning here that typically you regain them after acting in line with your oath for a day. I think that's too little. I would say a D4 days. Yeah. Because 25% of the time it will just be a day. It'll never be more than 4 days, but 1 day might be just a little too much of a slap on the wrist, right? Slap on the wrist. Not that big of a deal. You're gaining a feat. It's really powerful. But if you were to roll 3 or 4 days, that really would and could hurt in the course of a campaign where you can't just go stay at the inn for 2 nights in a row and just burn this off and behave yourself. Or you might... It's at the DM's discretion, I get it, but you're planting it in the player's mind that it'll just take a day. I would say to the DM's discretion, typically you can regain them after 1d4 days of acting in line with your oath, just so that it's clear that there's a range there that the DM may dictate, may not choose to roll with it. But it is powerful, and it sets up some great role play. It's always a tough thing when you're giving players options like this. As a creator, as a homebrew creator, you want people to roleplay this. You don't want people to game it and just be like, heck yeah, I'm going to take that extra feat. That'll really make me more powerful. And I'm just going to take this oath, and the oath will get shoved to the side. So I'm not even going to worry about it. It's not even a thing. That's like a throwaway detriment. I just want the feat. There's no way you could control that as the creator, though. But it is, some players play that way, and it's a bummer because having an oath, you get to kind of choose based off of the background progenitor you've created, is a lot of fun. I mean, that's a great setup for role play. And when your character has to come up against things where they would want to go against the oath, risking losing some of their powers temporarily, man, that's a perfect setup for role play. But in general, I think this subclass is a role player subclass, which is what I love. So thank you so much for sharing this, for putting this information out here on me and Warrior Button's little subreddit that we run, Outrageous Maximum. And thank you for giving me the okay to reread your creations here on the YouTubes. Yeah, awesome. Take care.